Race 2 on the card is the Sledgehammer Maiden Plate over 1,500 metres. This being the first leg of the bipod on a 9-race card. The first race due off at 12:45. And for my money, this is one of the more difficult maiden plates that we've had to contend with in recent times. It's wide open. The early favourite to Warren is number 10, Secret Giver, at 7-2 off the back of a reasonable debut behind Tree of Knowledge. Obvious scope for improvement. But I have no particular fancy. I've gone very wide in the first leg of the bipod. I've included 5 runners, all of numbers 7, 8, 9, 10 and 13. So I really can't find anything to be confident about.
You could be quite right. It is a tough race. But in saying that, I did give number 11, Princess Maxi, the Dynasty filly, a bit of a place chance, as a value bet for the places. But we chatted to Paul Lafferty, and we'll obviously play that out a bit later on. He thought that she might just need one to tighten up, but she's a magnificent Dynasty filly, bred by Claverflay Stud. I think she could run well on debut. She could have found the right field, but I am mindful of the fact that Paul says she could need one just to tighten up. Secret Giver, obvious claims, fair debut, although he was the 7th fastest finishing, and there's been 2 runners, no winners. So hard to assess, but certainly plenty of scope for improvement, in the Gavin Van Zyl stable is bang and form. And then my first choice, Graham, my narrow first choice, by no means, not with too much confidence, is number 8, Sanctity. I remember talking to the team of Sanctity last time out, and they thought he would need the run, and he really ran on powerfully to finish 5th, 2.65 to Tree of Knowledge in the same race that Secret Giver performed in. I think he would have tightened up from that, and he might be the one they all have to beat. And I'm not sure his price at this point in time. You may have the betting there with you, as you always do, but Sanctity for me is the narrow each-way selection.
Well, Sanctity's been priced up second favourite at 9-2. A couple at 5-1. Techno Savvy's at 5-1. Number 9, Go Sandals at 5-1. 7, Mr. Pegal at 7-1. 6, Bohemian Lad 8-1. 10-1 about number 3. So yeah, it's a tricky race. Obviously there's not much to choose between 8 Sanctity and 10 Secret Giver on the evidence of the form behind Tree of Knowledge. One would have thought of the 2, number 10 Secret Giver would have the more scope for improvement, as that was its debut, whereas Sanctity has had 6 lifetime starts, and the best that it could offer at this stage was 1 4th place finished a long time ago behind On a High Note, who's done absolutely nothing to confirm the form. But this is a weak maiden plate. The best in on ratings is number 9, Go Sandals, only just, but with a race rating of 66, that's a clear indication of how moderate this lineup is. And if there's been significant improvement from number 10, Secret Giver, it could be one to beat, but it's not a race that I'm going to nail my colours to the mast. You could be right with number 11, Princess Maxi, bled on debut, could be anything. But Paul Lafferty did indicate that you might need a run. She represents the class in the race, and we saw at Hollywood Bet Scottsville on Wednesday when that filly trained by Dennis Dreyer, who had also run indifferently on debut, came out to win with the Silvano filly with a ton of pedigree, just too much class. And if Princess Maxi's got too much class, then she could well win this. But I'd like to sit on the fence and wait to see how she runs first run after being suspended for bleeding.
Before we wrap the second race, Graham, and as we've announced, it is hugely difficult. What do you make of number 7, Mr. Pegal, who now has moved to the Peter Muscat stable, rather?
Well, it's only had 2 sprints. Goes 1,500 metres immediately. First up for Peter Muscat. I would have thought has lots of scope for improvement. 3-year-old son of JPEG. But yeah, no conviction in this race, I'm afraid. I think it's very, very hard to have to post an outright selection. I think you've got to go very wide in the first leg of the bipod.
Well, as you'll see a little bit later on when we go through the perms, that's exactly what Graham has done. Gone quite wide in the first leg of the bipod. It is difficult, but as I said, I'm narrowly in the camp as an each-way selection, number 8, Sanctity, and the place value about number 11, Princess Maxi.